Hey, Bob, can you hear us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He'll be here for a second.
Let me call to order the workshop meeting for October the 19th of the Highlands Town Board. And do I have, before you, you have the agenda, and there will be a couple of changes. One, the digital sign at the Highland School. Principal Holbrook had a family commitment tonight and cannot join us. So we'll just wait for her to request a time to meet with us during a workshop at a later date. Also, Commissioner Steeler is not here at this time. He was going to give us a playground committee update. He will be joining us at the 7 o'clock meeting, but he has a commitment at this time. So those are the two things that we will not be covering tonight. Do I have any proposed changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to talk about, I've talked with Josh in the past week or so about signage on the Gorge Road. I'd like for us to discuss possibly whatever we can do, reaching out to the DOT to get some signage.
Okay. We'll discuss that. I'll put that on the agenda.
And I'm sure Josh will probably have some input by now, hopefully.
Okay. All right. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay. Second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. The other item would be the approval of the September 21st work session meeting minutes. I think we do have some corrections and clarifications, and I'll entertain those at this time.
Number 3, Arnold Road resurfacing. The mayor and I and Josh and I talked about it. We agreed that Josh would seek a legal opinion on how to accept Arnold Road, but for town maintenance. Isn't that right, Josh? The minutes. I would ask the minutes to be updated to correct to add that.
And we'll follow through with that.
Thanks, sir.
Any other changes? Hearing, do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion we approve this.
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. So now we will get to the agenda, and we will start with the street light policy. At our last meeting, we asked Josh and Lamar Nix to come up with a proposal. But before we do this, I wanted to tell you what I did today at 6 o'clock in the morning. I drove around the neighborhoods while it was dark today. So I just want to give you a report on what I discovered, and then we'll go from there. Sagey Woods. I went out to Sagey Woods. There is a street light as you go into the entry. There are street lights that are intermittently spaced on Dixon and Split Rail. There's no consistency there, and there are a lot of places where there are no street lights at all. And a lot of the reasons I don't think they work is they have those big almost canopies of rhododendron that kind of block anything, and you just don't have a consistent deployment of street lights there. I also went to Shelby Place, and again, it's kind of intermittent, spotty, but I noticed a pattern that we seem to have, and that is on curbs and turns and entryways to streets, there tends to be a placement of street light there, but not necessarily going down roads. It's very spotty. I went to Big Bear Pen and drove all the way up and around. They have no street lights. And then Little Bear Pen, again, I rode there, and there's some spots where you'll go and it's just dark as can be. And then there's some places they have entries to it. I went over to Pinecrest, my neighborhood. We have two, one up at the top of the hill, and then the one near my house where there is that distinct turn curve. There is a street light there. I went out into Mirror Lake and Hope Knob, and it's a similar pattern. In these neighborhoods, you have areas where you do have a number of street lights, and then in other areas, it's just totally dark. So I just wanted to let you know, I did go and look, and with that, I'll defer to Lamar and Josh on what your proposal would be.
You have in your packet a list of 3 items that pretty much Lamar has come up with over the years as he's seen where the lights are necessary. I would like for him to come up and go over these and answer any questions that you may have on these 3 items.
Previous meeting, we discussed coming up with state policy. Josh asked me about this.
That's all you're saying. That's it.
That's pretty much what it is.
Okay.
It's not actual observation, but item number 1. Town owner to maintain street lights should be considered primarily only in areas that have sidewalks or other pedestrian paths to public streets only. That's what we consider that. Because it's definitely a need. Probably did. Number 2, the town shall not place future street lights in private streets. Existing town maintained street lights on private streets may remain at the discretion of the board of the town manager. Complaints from adjoining or adjacent neighbors to the light will be considered for returning to the town. So, number 3, street light placement on private streets shall be the responsibility of the developer on all future subdivisions. Existing structures may place street lighting on their property for expense. All private lighting must comply with town Highlands Unified Development Ordinance, section 6.33. D, exterior residential security and area lighting can be placed on private property. Those are some starting points.
How many town streetlights do we have out of deployed away from where there's sidewalks?
That under the national place home. Goes to the LED.
And
Total load. But so we don't know how many are in the commercial, yeah, the walking district, I guess is what we would call it.
the other thing I would add, I did notice that there are homeowners that have put entry into their driveway on posts and everything, lights to illuminate their driveway and things like that too. You do see that. And you see some places where a homeowner on their property near their house has put up a light that's very similar to what we have. Okay. But that is a policy we will, if somebody wants it for their property, they can pay to have that.
So maybe I'm missing something. Why are we talking about this?
Excuse me.
Why are we talking about this?
Numerous complaints. Typically we get a request
Oh,
to install a new street light,
okay.
and a
In
work order,
residential areas?
Yes.
usually, yes.
Okay.
It's usually not where there's sidewalks already. It's typically out in the residential areas. It could be a town street or a private street, or it's even a state road. Work order will be issued. Electric department will go out, and hang the street light on one of our poles. And typically within a week to 2 weeks, we've got an angry neighbor. And then you have a conflict. One want it, one doesn't want it. We're sort of stuck in the middle of this.
And that really triggered this
That's what
discussion.
triggered all of it. And I could keep going. That's just one.
So in other words, your recommendation is we stab in the fight.
Yes. Or come up with a policy so that we have something to fall back on. We will do it under these circumstances, but not these. Or right now, we're having to make judgment calls, and maybe that's what we need to continue to do. But when you get the battle that we have going right now with two neighbors, somewhere you have to pick sides.
And I think it is helpful to have some policy guidelines as we make those kind of decisions.
Like I said, this is just a start point,
Okay.
so y'all should discuss it.
I think too, when these lights are proposed by property owner inside a development, I think that they need to speak with everybody in that development, make sure everybody is clear what they're proposing and everybody agrees with it. Because at this point, they're coming in, they're asking for street light to be put up, it's put up, and then it's shock and awe to the neighbors, maybe down below the road, maybe they're above the road, shines directly in the windows of the houses below the road. So I think if everybody was put on notice before it happens, everybody's agreeing, I don't think there would be a big issue.
And there's not a homeowners association in every neighborhood. I don't know.
Right.
Mayor, can we put this on the November agenda?
We can,
Exactly.
and we can maybe ask Josh and Lamar to kind of refine that, what we've have here, because I think what Josh just said, the policy of, having the neighborhood people be in agreement with that is something that needs to be codified in a policy too. So why don't we plan on moving?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So where it says existing town-owned and maintained streetlights on private streets may remain at the discretion of the board of the town manager. Are we just gonna do it that way, or are we gonna say, okay, we're gonna keep them all or we're gonna lose them all?
I think most of the ones that are out there have been there a long time. Nobody's complaining about them, but if they do, if it becomes an issue, then someone can make a decision. So
Okay.
should it stay or should it go?
Okay. So don't stir the pot.
No.
If there's not a problem,
Yeah.
But no future.
no future.
And also, that's the reason I wrote in there adjacent or adjoining, because you can get one person that's just dead set against all of them. And so if that one's bothering me, they may live way down the road.
So we will put this on the agenda for.
I've got
formal review.
one other comment.
Yes,
Is Lamar going to work on this between now and Lamar? One thing I think we need to think about, just for future reference, if we're setting up this policy, is properties in the future that might be annexed and what their status is when it's annexed with regard to streetlights. Because we're annexing them if they have private street light, or if we already have streetlights there, or if they have their own streetlights, do we replace them with town lights? Or I just give it some thought. I don't have
Things
the
that may
answer.
be annexed may not even be on our power system.
What about,
And that won't be a private road.
Yeah.
There won't be town roads.
Right.
the other point is this, if we have a new subdivision, and this might be a UDO change, if we have a new subdivision, should they be required to submit a streetlight plan?
Well, that's item number 3.
Okay. Okay.
Because most of your new subdivisions are underground systems.
Yeah, so that's,
And that should be part of the development plan.
okay, very good. All right, we'll bring that back to the board as an agenda item at the regular meeting in November. We'll clarify and amplify. Okay, thank you, Lamar. Next item would be string lighting. Josh, would you like to give us background on the string lighting issue?
Michael's going to present what the
Okay.
planning board has reviewed over the past few months.
Okay.
So I didn't prepare a memo or anything like that, but if you'll remember, the land use committee had talked about string lighting. That item went to the planning board, and after some discussion, the planning board had come up with the proposed ordinance that was submitted in that agenda packet. There were quite a few changes. Just to note a few, commercial grade, illuminate during business hours, and there were some spacing concerns, how high you can put them. But one of the biggest things was addressing the string lighting over private property walkways, which we currently allow in the UDO. That would be eliminated to where it was only allowed over dining areas. I've also got Jeff Weller and Darren Watley, and both were on the planning board here. If you've got any questions for them, got any questions for me, we'd be happy to answer that with this one in regard to this one and the commercial color chart as well.
What, you want to do both?
Either way, these two sat on the committee that were doing the commercial color chart, and I know Darren's got to leave here in a moment. So he's only got a few minutes for that, but
Okay, well, then I'll bring it up now,
Okay.
even though you're talking about string lighting.
yeah,
Okay, under your public and civic building exterior materials, 6.4.7.
yes.
Okay, that second line there, you're talking about commercial buildings. So that's
Oh, okay.
Public and civic buildings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just change that.
And the other thing is in your report for the regular board meeting, you said something about the colors were grandfathered in, but what does that mean? Does that mean they don't have to change, or they don't have to change till they're painted again?
So we did discuss that at the planning board level. Jeff, what was it that we'd come up, or what did y'all determine on that with the?
We had decided if somebody's coming in to paint their building and it's existing paint and they're gonna repaint their building, we're not asking them to go. But it was suggested then that it's projects, change of color.
So it's grandfathered into that color.
So we'll never have a change.
perpetuity, So it'll never change.
Yeah, I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, we didn't identify any place in town that wouldn't fit within the realm of.
What you already,
current
of your
colors.
colors?
Except for one, and I'll just come out and say, it, except the Presbyterian Church, and we see no issue with it, but we don't want the north side of Main Street becoming yellow all the way down.
Yeah,
So, I mean, just, so.
but it is tradition now.
I know, so that's why we kind of said it's grandfather, if that's the right terminology for this, but moving forward, if that building is yellow and they want to repaint that building that color, we don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
That's the gist of the recommendation as far as.
Well, that's why I wasn't quite sure where the grandfather meant. You weren't going to make everybody who is not on the color wheel now go out and paint, but when they did, you would. But if you looked at everything and everything is still with it is consistent with what we're proposing is a color wheel.
And there's only a few since I've been here that's come back and painted the exact same color. I could probably go off one hand. Most people are looking to change the color and refresh it. So I think that in that case, they're going to come and they're going to have to go by those new colors.
Did you bring those color swatches with you?
I did not. I had them sitting on my desk.
They're not many.
Not me.
I had them sitting on my desk and honestly, I forgot. I was going to put them in a Word document because the existing color wheel we do have, I actually went ahead and put that in a Word document where it has the labeled color and the splotch right beside it. I hadn't had a chance to do that, but I will have it to you by next
Both
month.
the existing and the new.
Yeah, I can bring the existing color chart, or I can bring the existing color wheel plus the Word document that has that. We can send that out. And then I'll prepare the new one. I'll have the new ones for you. I literally, as Buzz was saying that, I was sitting here thinking I forgot to grab that.
Most of the color change recommendations came from the fact that a lot of those colors, some of those colors A lot of paint companies do that, but it, habits used to have Spanish moss and that, and work it up, it's slightly different. So basically affinity colors, so we did pick new Ben Moore colors, but we're not saying it has to be Ben Moore. The biggest change, not only the updated colors that we know are readily available, that are still on the color wheel and still available from Ben Moore or other companies. But the biggest change was we have what we call base colors and accent colors, so that we don't end up having a Christmas tree building with red siding and green shutters type of thing. The suggestion is to use two base colors, or one base, one accent, or one accent. You can't use two accents. That's the simplest way of saying it.
Well, and I looked at the new selection color chart.
Forgot to.
Overall, there's kind of a little bit lower intensity of the colors. They're
Yeah.
another way, kind of, they're a little muted compared
Yeah,
to
well,
past.
yes and no. The older colors, I mean, you have gray tones or tan tones. But some of the older colors, and if you put them out in the sun, they turn pink.
Mhm.
So we try to avoid that coming out. It's really what we're trying to get. They're still all earth tones, you know,
I guess, even your accent colors are earth tones?
but they are, but they're brighter tones.
Mhm.
They
Okay,
are
I'll have to look at it. I mean, I don't want,
Yeah.
I don't want it
I
to be
dropped
blah or look all the
No,
same.
Forgot that.
Not at all. But they're still very strong accent colors.
Yeah.
The key is they're updated colors, like they're available colors, they're not just. And like I said, you can't have a bright red building with a strong green trim. I mean, it's trying to. I guess, well, like, if you look at the old color wheel, and you see what we're talking about, because you can pick two of the brighter colors in there. Yeah. it would,
And here's the good news, Amy. Here's the good news.
Sparkle. So.
Here's the good news for you. I know you're renovating your house. You can, in a residential area, you can be very expressive with, this doesn't apply. Yeah. So, yeah.
But that's what it is. It's really just an update. And my advice would do it, the color wheel at least should be every like 8 to 10 years. Color do get this.
Well, that's why I was wondering if you can't just do it as a spectrum of a normal color, as opposed to somebody's exact
But
color.
I don't think we're saying the. exact
moss
color.
green, and the moss greens that all look like somebody else. has
No.
We're
green.
not suggesting changing that part where it can be in that kind of
That,
family-ish.
right.
Yeah, so
That-
the old ordinance verbiage in there is approved colors need not match specific colors in the chart, but the given shade shall fall within the parameters defined by the chart as determined by the planning and development director.
So it's used more as an example of what the color is.
Currently how it is now. So they'll come in, propose something, we'll look through. Does that match? Okay.
And I would say that there are a lot of our paint suppliers now, they have the ability with their mixing systems to make adjustments to match pretty close of existing color.
Is there any reason we're not using Pantone colors, Pantone chart? I'd rather see that than, because that's a consistent color chart over decades, does not change. And if you have a Pantone color, you may not be familiar with it, but if you have Pantone number, it can be matched anywhere in the world, no doubt about it. And, it's going to match now, it's going to match 30 years from now. And I would highly suggest, if we're going to do this, rather than whether it's a Benjamin Moore that maybe, they make this now and they've already got plans for discontinuing, to have something that's a Pantone rather than Benjamin Moore gold gray or something.
It's just the color.
I understand, yeah, but all of the paint mixing facilities, whether it's Lowe's or Home Depot, you take in a Pantone number, they're going to be able to hit that dead on the money. Same way with Reeves. I understand that.
then
But
you
if
don't
we're
have to
giving them
change
the
it every
baseline,
eight-
then there's no doubt that they're not going to hit the baseline. We had Pantone years and years ago. Yeah, and I don't know how we got away from that, but
The current code is also
So we do have Pantone, but it's with the, excuse me, is with the town's
Logo.
wayfinding signage. That's what they went with. They went with Pantone colors and there were specific numbers.
sure.
And they said, here's what you have to meet. Now, I will say we've done this change one other time. Now it's the affinity color. I forget, it was Ben Moore prior to it when Richard Betts was here and he actually had a color chart where he had the little pieces glued to it, and it was Ben Moore, but it had changed several years before that. So that's how we ended up with where we're at now, and those are all the time changing. It's a little bit more difficult. And two, it's difficult to have them take the little color chart with them and always bring it back. That's something that's always going. So I think that's why Michael also wanted to have it digitally as well.
And that's why if you have a Pantone color, you just give them the
Yeah, the
number.
number.
They show up at Lowe's or Billy Bob's Paint Shop and give them that number and boom, you've got it. And there's no running back and forth. There's no having to have chips or something for somebody to try to match it. You've got a number to match that'll work here or it'll work in Mongolia.
Walk into the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Digitally is one thing, digitally, I don't understand it, I understand. Color digitally.
Yeah.
Every screen is.
LED lights, sunlight, warm lights,
Yeah.
cool Kelvin lights.
I can do one X monitor, one monitor, left monitor, right monitor, same temperature.
Yeah.
So,
But you can buy Pantone color swatches from Pantone and they will send them to you and you will have what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Can I
So-
get up?
Go ahead.
I was gonna go to another subject.
Well, I was gonna say,
If
the
you're
way
a
we want to
solid
proceed with
color
this, do we want this to go back to the planning board or we want Michael to come up with the Pantone color? How did we?
You don't want me to come up with the colors.
I think it's pretty simple to just say.
Yeah. It ought to be easy to,
So you,
unless you're colorblind, you ought to be able to match it pretty close.
okay, so get the Pantones for what they submitted with the. Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Well, I can do that. I just thought you wanted me to pick the colors out.
Okay.
No.
Just making sure.
All right. So we're not really changing colors. We're just gonna label.
Yeah, it's gonna be the
identify it
Pantone.
as Pantone reference.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
can get those.
Okay.
I'll order those swatches.
All right.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask one quick, are you going back to the string lights?
If she's not.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because I think I already know what questions you're gonna ask. So go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, actually, mine is just a technical thing. What's a full cutoff fixture?
Let's see. Which one
All
is that?
parking and security lights, everything is a cutoff fixture, and I don't know what a cutoff fixture is. It's hardwired? Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with it cuts off the light at a certain hooded, okay, that's what I didn't understand. So we don't have anything that says it should be dark sky, cut off the amount of circumference or whatever that it shines.
Yeah, so I had highlighted right there, the suggestion they had were lights shall not exceed the 2,700 Kelvin or less. Which Jeff could speak to that better than I could, but that was per the International Dark Sky Association guidelines.
The way we were handling that is 2,700 Kelvin is the color, so it's.
Yeah.
It's not. The hardwired, one of the aspects, because we had a lot of people plugging them in and then leaving them on nonstop. So that's what the string lights, an hour out close. Spread them, leave them on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other part having to do with the brightness has, so we have a maximum kilowatt. wattage.
Lumen or,
But yeah, but the problem with the lumen aspect is, you can look at 4 different string lights and every single picture, if they're LED, and it's a 2-watt LED or whatever it might be, the lumen levels range dramatically among manufacturers. So we did based on wattage, because that's something they can look at and determine. It's difficult when you're talking about single bulbs. So spacing the bulbs, lumen levels, and we did look at, for what it's worth, we looked at a lot of examples in other towns similar to ours to see where they limited. String lights, basically, when it comes to dark sky, or just, but the biggest thing for us was turning off when they're not needed, when they're closed. Limiting the brightness, like you have so many bulbs per based on the area and so much space in between them. They're trying to limit it down to where it's still very functional. But we also brought up the other subject, not taking them off the walkways, so that those should not be the lights that light your path. Which is trying to really so trying to limit that moving forward. So that's where this whole.
well, but you're talking about exterior commercial lighting, not just string lighting. I was talking about what the spread is.
Right. Well, like I said, that's hard to measure. So that's why we limited the wattage per bulb and the spacing per bulb and the amount of wattage per based on the area. So that we can limit the spread basically by not having, a string light every 3 feet across a dining area. Or that's what
Yeah, and I'm talking
no, they
about,
get that way.
I'm talking about all exterior lighting.
Yeah, we didn't go beyond string lights.
Yeah, string lights is all they
One track
had
mind.
addressed.
And we only did.
Well,
those string lights.
this is, you're talking about standards for all exterior commercial lighting. And so I was looking at the whole thing, not just, I didn't know what yellow changed and what it had changed.
The only reason we didn't get into the exterior lighting at this stage is that gets in, we really consultant, because there's certain requirements for lumen levels along pathways, there's requirements for lumen levels and egresses, and we weren't getting into the weeds with trying to tell somebody they can't do something, and now they can't meet code from a safety requirement, egress requirement from the fire department, EMS, et cetera. So we went string lights. We that subject. And there's a couple of things related to the colors.
Okay. Buzz, your question.
How do we wind up with 27 feet in the air, maximum height?
Was that based on somebody else's code that we'd seen?
That seems like extremely high and a widespread, a lot of spill.
Correct. Yeah,
And I'd like to see that, that's almost 3 stories high. And I don't think it needs to be, I think 12, 15.
Oh, you're okay. You're talking about
Yeah, on number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Standards.
Yeah.
Mounted heights no greater than 27 feet above grade.
And
I
they
think-
could be pulled down. So in the red is what the planning board addressed. And for the string lighting down there, I believe 15 feet was the max height, if I'm reading that right. No
Oh, I'm
greater than
sorry.
15 feet. So what we could do is amend that, Buzz, and change that 27 to 15.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was looking at the whole thing too, not
Yeah.
just with the red.
yeah. I watched too, I'm sorry. Okay.
And I should have been more clear. The black is what's existing.
And back to the existing then.
Yeah.
On number 6, light fixtures used to light buildings, landscapes should be selected, located, aimed, and shielded so direct illumination focused exclusively on the building facade, plantings or other site features away from adjoining properties, the sky. When we've got lights that are lighting buildings, it's going to light the sky no matter what. It's got to be spread. And I was just wondering if we shouldn't give some consideration, I don't know how, to up-facing lights.
Like the ones for signage and landscaping, like you just discussed.
On the ground, no.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
know, some places have it and they shine up in the trees at night. too.
Yeah. Again, going back to the dark skies, just trying to, keep it a little lower and just a thought.
Well, if you- oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bud.
On the red part there, on number 4, I guess it is, no more than 2 lines of LED string lights permitted. Lines would be how long? At
We
10
never
feet,
deter-
50 feet?
Did we determine a length on those? Length or how, or did we go by what a standard? Is there a set standard for string lights
As far as,
that they usually come in?
no, they come 25, 50.
Okay, so that would be something.
So we could have 2 lines of 100 feet each, and they could be,
And it would have to be over that dining area, so they'd have to have 100 feet at this point, without changing that, they would have to have
yeah,
that.
but man, oh man, you could brighten up the sun there with 100 feet of string lights over a 20 by 20 dining area.
But the thing is, once they got over that, so if you had a 20 by 20, they could only have 20 feet of string light, and then they'd have to come back with only one more strand separated at 6 feet by the way I read that. So
Yeah,
that
well,
20 by
I mean,
20,
Even if it's 10 feet,
Okay,
I have a 20
so-
foot, I got,
So
I
when you're
think
saying
6 feet into
lines,
that
then
one.
you're talking about a straight line
Yeah.
and another
Over the-
straight
Yeah.
line, and that's the end of it.
6 feet apart, yeah. And it can't spill over the edge and go into the yard, something like that.
Okay, that's gonna be my next,
But we could limit 25, put 20 or 25 feet on there. That wouldn't be a problem on per strand. If you wanted
Well,
to
I mean,
limit
if
well, as
we-
long as it's interpreted as that each line isn't the line of the string,
Yeah.
it's the line of the physical.
Deck gets
line.
carried, the
Yeah.
line over the deck.
Geometry of the string is opposed to the length of the string.
Okay,
yeah, because you might have a seating area that's 50 feet long. So you want something more than 20 feet. As far as overspill, any consideration for light shields on adjoining potential residential property? I'm specifically looking at the smokehouse. I mean, they're already sitting up. And we put the lights up here, then the spillover across the road, down in that residential area is gonna be pretty good. I was wondering if you'd given any consideration to some kind of light shield so that the light drops going away from the residential area.
and they make shields for these string lights, do they not? For the bulbs? I didn't know I thought I'd seen where they had little shields that you could put over it, but
David came in with he one of those ones that they had a little hood on them.
Yeah.
But they didn't have much side to them. They were just kind of above,
Okay.
so that, because the bulb has a 360 degree,
yeah,
and he was just taking the top off of it.
so those really wouldn't, if they didn't come down and actually cover that bulb, those would be useless.
Well, I just think we need to look at, before somebody likes the smokehouse, puts up something like that, just trying to anticipate light spill onto residential.
Yeah.
That's the only case, I guess, I can think of that's,
I would say also.
Yeah.
Right now, you drive around at any time of night.
Yeah.
Mayor can do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly because they plug in. They plug in.
Right.
So that's part of the reason for we'll see, but.
Okay. Any other questions on lighting?
what are we
So-
looking at doing for existing? Compliance?
That would
Immediate
be,
compliance?
that was something the planning board wanted to address. Obviously that would be something for Bob.
Okay.
and legal on actually, I don't know if you would amateurize those existing string lights over a set period of time.
You know, but you can become compliant without doing anything except flipping the switch or putting a switch on the thing. Okay, so this isn't like a land use thing where you've done it like this. This is actually a compliance of just a regulation.
Yeah, and
It's possible to do for
But
today.
we've got.
Yeah,
string
the-
lights not over.
but the walkways are what I'm,
I know, and they have to come down.
Well,
They
okay.
weren't supposed to be there anyway.
yeah, the walkways would be the ones. Obviously, those that are over, they would just have
But the
to,
walkway, they're over walkways so that you can illuminate the walkway.
Yeah.
Well, at noon, you do not have to illuminate that walkway, so it should come off.
So are we going to allow string lights over the walkway at night?
Well, I think they took them off.
yeah, we took it
Walkways.
off walkways.
So that's my question.
But that was, yeah, and that was the planning board's question too, is those that are over existing walkways as of right now, can we
But
have those
it's-
removed?
It's pretty darn simple to comply with that. When you allow things to go or advertise them or allow them to get grandfathered in, it's because it's not very simple to comply. Like painting your building or, you know, whatever it is. That's in my interpretation of it. If you can comply, you should need to comply.
Well, I need
Just
they
change
need,
in the, if you change the speed limit, you don't say, but everybody who ever went 50 now can still go 50, not 45.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
So I'm looking at that last, lights shall only be allowed over dining structure, deck, pavilion, porch, per commercial parcel. I think one of the things that triggered this was the concern that we would be having string lights over parking lots to where it looked like a used parking lot area. And this addresses that we have limited it to only dining areas.
Yeah.
And walkways into the dining area.
Yeah, and parking lots were never allowed. It's always been the walkways or dining
Okay.
areas.
But if you read the thing, the interpretation of over walkways is to illuminate the walkway. But if it's noon, you do not need to illuminate the walkway. In other words, there was a reason to allow it.
Mhm.
So to me, they were never compliant anyway. We just needed to tidy that up legally.
Yeah, and I don't even, Jeff, you could probably touch on it one more thing. I think it was you that brought up, that doesn't even meet commercial
But
code
if you're
for
talking about parking lots.
eliminating.
And then there's specific requirements about parking lots and unit level.
But for walkways,
For walkways, again. So it's not, I don't, unless you could really.
Yeah.
Walking surface.
so it was already,
Again, we did, so we worked down into the weeds that first, where how would you accomplish it? If you're not in the weeds, that gets into code requirements. So we have to get rid of it. Populate as per code. Building codes that means somebody beyond the knowledge by people that, you know,
Okay.
I have one other comment,
Okay.
one last
Go
comment.
ahead.
I'm
I'm looking at the clock here. Go ahead.
Illuminating Engineering Society chart, the prohibition right below that on laser. I know this is already there, but as we're tweaking this thing, the use of a laser light source or any other similar high intensity light for outdoor advertising or continuous entertainment without a permit. I think we just need to strike for outdoor advertising or continuous entertainment. Which says the use of laser source light or any similar light. Intense-
1D1 right below the chart.
oh, okay, below the chart.
Yeah. Is prohibited without a permit from the town?
Yeah, just eliminate permit from the town board.
No, eliminate for outdoor advertising or continuous entertainment. No laser source light or any similar high intensity light is permitted or without a permit from the town. What we're doing is we're defining what can and cannot be used for laser lights. And we have laser lights that are used on an annual basis, which don't fit this definition.
So you're wanting to eliminate the laser lights?
Eliminate
Yeah.
laser lights without a permit. They want to have a laser
Regardless
light,
of what they're used for.
exactly,
Yeah, but just eliminate them in general. No one can use the laser lights.
without a permit.
Okay, so keep,
See, what you have right now is that you can use them for anything unless you're without a permit, unless you're advertising or continuous entertainment. He wants every laser light, regardless of what your use is for, to have a permit.
okay, so keep it in, or it's any laser light, and then they have to get a permit from the town board to keep that in. I didn't know if you wanted just laser lights.
No,
struck from
I
it.
mean, there may be some legitimate use for laser. I've got one I shine across, a little bear pin every once in a
Laser
while. I
tag.
wonder if anybody sees it.
All right.
No, I don't have to.
Now,
There's the
one,
problem.
one last question. I know we're running out of time. So the string lighting, are you ready for this to come in front of the board next
Well,
month?
I was gonna say that, shall we now make these adjustments and bring it?
Well,
for the
you know,
November
once
meeting.
before, and all we do is to set a public hearing. So we
Yeah.
have at least another month
Yeah,
to
okay.
tweak more and look at it more and have public comment on it.
And then my second question would be, would you like the planning board to look at our entire commercial lighting ordinance? Because I know you brought up the 27 feet in height. I mean, that would be something that we could get started. Probably it's going to take some months of discussion, but is that something this board would like to see?
How many months we've been on this already? That's my only concern. I think we need to go ahead and do something.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the string lights. So that's all they were focused on. And I told them that from the start because that was the land use committee's objective was to address the string lighting. They have not touched anything with X above the accent lighting. They would be reviewing all of section 6.5.3A.
So we're not going to wait on
No,
a
string
review.
lights.
We're going to take care of string lighting
Yeah.
and they're going to review
Address it as
Okay.
two separate problems.
always.
Sure.
Make it a little more confusing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll put that on the upcoming agenda for them to start addressing that. Then, okay, that's all I've got.
We want to express appreciation for the work of the planning board on this, and Chairman Watley and Jeff, appreciate y'all being here tonight.
Absolutely.
And I think this format's very good. You know, when the planning board has made proposals that we can all sit down and get feedback and information before we take any formal action. So thank y'all so much. Okay, I want us to move. We only have a few minutes and I want to get to everybody's topic. And I'm willing to kind of, I put down the weekend work regulations, clarification. And let me tell you what my concern is. With an example. My wife and I, a few weeks ago, woke up on a Saturday morning. We're having at 8:30, nice cup of coffee, and all of a sudden, 3 leaf blowers come on in a yard in my neighborhood at 8:30 in the morning. And it's a commercial landscaper doing stuff. Now, we already have a policy about weekend work where you can't operate heavy equipment and everything, but you get a platoon or a squad of leaf blower guys working on the weekend, even during the week, but you know, I understand that. But working on the weekend on Sunday or Saturday, what's frustrating to me is people are seasonal residents, the people that are transitional residents and visitors, they come up here and they're here on Saturday and Sunday, and they're saying, oh, we're away from all the noise and hustle and bustle. We're in this beautiful environment, only to hear this type of equipment from landscapers or crews with chainsaws, you know, taking down a tree or something on Saturday and sometimes Sunday. So my reasoning in bringing this up, should we address this? And Josh, could you just kind of tell us right now what an overview of the ordinance on working on weekends entails?
Well,
Can I jump in real quick? So Amy and Buzz, this is probably deja vu for y'all because it's been a little over a year ago that we met up at the police department and talked about this. I've actually got the notes from Gibby. Nothing's been amended in the ordinance, obviously, or come and change, but I know that it was looked, according to her notes, of doing possible work on Saturday between 10 and 4, and then Sunday setting a set time period for different activities, and then regulating that by decibels. If you'll remember, I think that's where we've come from, but I don't know if any other board member at this point's got anything else to say, or if y'all have got more to add on that. I just wanted to bring up that we had talked about that.
Well,
Prior to tonight.
here's what I'd say, looking at the time that I don't know if we can get into a detail. I'm willing to, let's just carry this discussion over to our next work session.
I personally would ban all blowers, but that's okay.
Okay, let's just, because I can already see this shaping up.
Number two, they all of these end up in our ditches.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them.
We
never
got,
seen
well, I will
Blow
say
these
this,
into the- With my triple backpack.
Josh
I
and I
don't blow
got
these
a,
into the ditch.
Josh and I got an email from a citizen this afternoon because he knew we were going to be talking about that. And that's exactly what he was alluding to.
Well,
Yeah.
And that's against our code,
Yeah. So,
because those are stormwater ditches.
so I think this is a complicated topic and we need to just
Put it on
table
our
this
next
for,
workshop,
yes, and yes, indeed.
And
the
on
ne-
the top of the list.
The next item would be the winter weather preparedness. Commissioner Haim and I have been talking about this. How do we make people aware that they need to be, ready for the next big freeze or some of the issues of being ready for the winter? And Commissioner Haim, would you like to kind of,
I asked you if you do another video and
yeah,
maybe with one of the employees and you agree to do it and try to educate the public how to prepare for the next reason. We talked about meter reading and.
yeah, we'll do it. And I'm willing to work on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then finally, we got a few more minutes. The Gorge Road signage. Commissioner
Oh, yeah.
Johnson, would you like to bring that up?
Well, I spoke with our town manager last week, and I had years ago had approached Commissioner Beal, Ronnie Beal with the county commission about getting some signage on the Gorge Road. We have vehicle turnout lanes there. Some of them are not very good. Some of them are completely appropriate, but nobody knows they're upcoming. The local folks know they're there, but the people who need to be using them don't know they're coming up.
Mhm.
So they're creeping along at 20 miles an hour and all of a sudden they went to a place that they could have pulled out. And I think when I talked to Josh, he was going to get in touch with somebody at the DOT. I don't know if you had a chance to do that. I didn't have a chance to call you
No.
today.
I do have the contact information for that person. So I'll be making contact with.
One other thing, Buzz, to that point is when you do talk to that person, the other one thing to mention would be
Drive.
dry falls.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
having
that's
signage
part
there
of
that says, don't, oh, we already talked about that?
No.
No, okay,
No.
well, like having signage that
Yeah.
you can't block the road.
Yeah.
I went to Franklin last Saturday and I think I waited there for over 20 minutes, Paul.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, someone's gonna get hurt there.
We'll use we've got contact with DOT that we can
And
request.
I'm just kind of looking for, support of the board to move in that direction if that's the.
We'll make an inquiry and see what's possible.
Okay.
And report back. One other thing related to that is especially Representative Gillespie introduced a bill into the legislature about cracking down on the big tractor trailers 50 feet that come up that Gorge Road. And he's made the point, they say a $200 fine, 250, which it is, we'll just pay that and keep doing it. And his bill would say, first time it's 400, I think, and then it's 2,500. And then anytime you continue to do that, as some companies have, it's $7,000 to really get their attention. That bill, I'm still waiting to see where it is. The legislature is still in session. And Josh had taken a picture yet again of a tractor trailer just recently that was blocking traffic. And I sent it to Representative Gillespie said, we need help. So I know the process can get to be difficult, but the last time I checked, the Senate will have to vote on it before it becomes law. So, okay, we are now 2 minutes from, why don't we take a adjourn and take a break, and then we'll go into formal session. A motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay,
Second.
we're adjourned. Thank y'all.
Good, how about you?
Yes, put the trees on the next motion.
Put it down.